So professional machine learning engineer. The idea is to know how to take a business problem and first of all figure out that this is a type of problem that we can solve it with machine learning. And then figure out how to get the data, how to process this data, prepare it for machine learning, and how to build this architecture to be able to handle this data, and also how to maintain, monitor, and scale the machine learning architecture eventually. So we will go through this in 6 weeks that we are going to cover the framework, how to frame the machine learning, as I mentioned, the architecture, how to prepare and process the data, which in my opinion is the dirty part of the work and it takes 80% of your time, how to develop the architecture, and how to automate this process. Because when you are dealing with the data, it's always harder to go back and make the data the way you want. So it's easier if you can automate it, and obviously how to monitor, maintain, and optimize the ML algorithm afterwards. So, and this is not a one-time thing. You want to go through it again and again, but this is a really good list of steps to follow for ML architecture. Is there any way to make it bigger? Okay. This is the 6 weeks that Google itself suggested for somebody who wants to follow and get this certificate. We will definitely share this slide with you, and I think this is really good because when you look at it, it's like, oh my God, how can I handle all of these courses? And there are a lot. And if you're like me and English is not your mother tongue, it may actually take longer. But when you're breaking it down and you're like, I will just do this one quiz or I will just do this one path today, it's really, really doable. I strongly recommend that start early. Don't think, because it's written on top of them that this is like a one-day thing for each of these courses, but I suggest that you start like 2 hours a day, and it makes it more like chewable, if it's the right expression. Yeah. So we are here at week 1 right now, and please go through this, and then we are going to discuss it next week if you had any questions. So we are going through this each week together. I'm with you. I'm going to apply for the certificate myself, so I'm actually doing everything with you guys. If you had any question, problems, shoot me a message. I'm usually quick with answering. And the good part, and which I mentioned, if you attend only 3 sessions out of these 6 sessions, anyway, either online or in person, and complete all of these tasks that you're supposed to finish in these 6 weeks by June 2023, so you have a little bit after when we are finished on May 10th, and contact any of us here, you will be granted a voucher for $200, which is the equivalent of what you need to pay to get the exam, to take the exam. And with that one voucher, I think you can do the exam twice. And so if the first times you put it up, I mean, you still have a chance next time. And you can do the exam online from the ease of your home, or you can go to a test center and like have a professional setting to do the exam if that makes it easier for you.
I was just going to make a shout out here to Tom, who he was one of our folks that attended last fall, got the voucher, passed it. So can be done.
Can be done.
At any age.
Watch the videos, study the transcripts.
There you go.
I actually write everything down myself, so I have a notebook handwritten.
You're good.
For folks who are physically in the room, I put this in the chat, but we have a new link to join the Slack. It's bit.ly RGDC2.
It's really tiny. Can we make it bigger and
I
bigger?
don't think so.
Okay.
It's not letting you in? Okay. That's unfortunate. RGDC2 is not working. Okay, well, back to our program. I will work on the Slack anyway.
Okay, so So while we are solving the Slack difficulties, let's continue. So the study group, as I mentioned, week 2 will focus on the ML problem framing to discuss what are the problems that we can definitely solve and what are the go-to architecture to go for them. I put 2 of the really I think off-the-shelf architecture, but these are targeting 2 totally different groups of people. The top one is an LSTM. We will get to it, but this is something that if you are a time series developer, or you are somebody who needs language processing, natural language processing, NLP, you are constantly dealing with it. Any type of temporal data takes your mind to LSTM and those sort of architecture. The second one is a representation of a convolutional neural network. That's what if you are working with any type of imaging or any type of data which you want to make sense of the placement, the location of the data in regard to each other. And these are the type of thing that you would these are off-the-shelf architecture that you would learn throughout this course, and to find the path that you want to take and what are the best architecture to apply at each of these stages. And in addition to that, Google essentially has these zillions of products that tries to take away the technicality of machine learning and make it accessible to basically everybody. So even if you do not have technical background, or you do not have the academic study of it, you should be able to do it really fairly easily. It was this meeting in New York, and the idea was how to be a machine learning scientist without having a PhD. And that's what Google is trying to do. Google provides you with software and hardware that with no code, with just drag and drop, you can make sense of the data and build an architecture that basically handles the data for you and generates the outcome that you are willing for. So my point is, it comes down to the creativity rather than the technicality of it. In the third week, we want to focus on data preparation and processing. As I mentioned, data is always dirty, and actually, it's a really good business if you can just make data clean and pass it to the person who wants to do the ML algorithm. It's also worth noting that the ML algorithm that we are working with today is as smart as the brain of a cat. And if you know what I'm referring to, it's the early experiment of neural network, which I put the picture there, which a brain of the cat would respond by seeing that light on a screen. And that was the initial idea of the synapses and how to build neural network. So my point being, if you cannot as a person make sense of your data, don't expect a cat to make sense of that data for you, even if you are giving it a huge amount of data. So get your hands dirty with the data, go through the data, figure it out, and then allow your machine learning algorithm to handle it for you in bigger in scale. So that's another thing that we are going through, to know how to handle data, how to make sense of it. And then it comes the beauty of the machine learning. So how to build the model, which model to go for, and how to train and test it, and how to scale it to solve bigger problems for us. So that's the fancy part of machine learning that everybody hopes that it lands there, but usually you will spend 80% of the time dealing with data and then 5% taking off-the-shelf algorithm. Eventually, we come down to working with this whole pipeline, trying to make it as automated as possible, trying to continuously improve it and continuously develop, and know which part of it to modify, and also how to troubleshoot, how to handle the problems that comes up after you are sending this model to be served in a community. What if there is this new groups of user that you haven't thought of, so your model doesn't have any prior information to handle their data? Or what if a case of bias happens? How to take away the human bias out of the system? So with all of them, after we go through all of them in 6 weeks, hopefully we are ready for the certification. It would be a 2 hours exam, and it's multiple choices, and it's also fill in the blank kind of thing, like choose multiple of the multiple. It doesn't have any prerequisite, but the suggestion is that you have 3 years of experiment plus 1 year of Google Cloud experiment. We hope that what you are doing here would cover it. So don't be, if you don't have industry experiment or something, don't be disheartened. We are there for you. We are going to, so we have the study plan, that's 6 big things. We are going to go through them, and aside from that, when we are going through the exam, they are giving you basically business problems, not just, okay, what type of algorithm would you use if you want to do image segmentation or if you wanted to build a chatbot. The idea is which Google product do you want to use based on the constraint of time or money or location, these sorts of constraint that can be put onto the matter. And obviously, everything that we are doing here is for us to be able to apply it in real life, not just to be able to pass this exam. So we are here to learn together. And as I mentioned, I'm going to do the certificate with you. So I'm studying really hard. Sample questions. Okay. First sample question. I don't know if you can read it.
What I'm just gonna say real quick is Lucas posted a link to the slides in the chat. So
I haven't yet. I'm about
reading this, I'm seeing it. That's also there as well. Sorry.
Slack.
Yeah, I put a new URL up there for Slack.
Particular channel within Slack or?
Yes, indeed. The channel we want everyone to join is called. I'm sorry, I lost it. It's my screen is dead. It's cloud-machine-learning-english, and I also posted in the chat, but you might have to scroll back just a tad.
Maybe you need to refresh if you're using Slack in your browser. Maybe refresh so you don't see that.
Okay, you might not be on the right workspace.
I'm on this one.
Okay.
The Slack?
I see Cloud Developer English, Cloud Architect English. I don't see.
Okay, I'm gonna invite you, Norbert. Send me a message in the other Slack if you're still having trouble after a moment.
Do we have to install the
Cloud Architect English.
No, you can use it in a web browser. Oh, if you're on your phone and that's the only way you're interacting, then yes. I believe so.
Because we've been running several.
No, I'm actually in the.
I see.
Or you can. Oh. I'm not sure what you're asking.
Yeah, if you can't see the slides, there's room up front, and we can move some of the chairs up front for the folks that aren't able to see the slides in the back.
Now we can read the questions, which is good. So the question is, you work for a manufacturing company that owns a high-value machine which has several machine settings and multiple sensors. So it's already giving you that you have both basically a string input because you have the setting, they can be binary or they can be a string value, and you have multiple sensors, so you have numeric values as well. A history of machines' hourly sensor reading and non-failure event data are stored in BigQuery. So we basically have this SQL of information about everything that we read about every sensor values for all of the time and the failure. So we want to identify the failed event, quote, on or off, given these numbers. You need to predict if the machine will fail within the next 3 days. So 3 days ahead predicting to schedule a maintenance before the machine fails. Which data preparation and model training steps should you take? just from so going back here, the first and second or actually, do you want to think about it for a second before I start talking so loud and so much?
Feel free to interject. Folks have ideas or in the chat for folks
Yes.
online.
Put your answers there.
Like the Kahoot, or we have a more.
Oh
Yes.
yes.
So this is just a question that we are going to solve, and we are solving them here. But as of next week, based on the information that you are reading throughout this week, we are going to have 10 questions on Kahoot, which is a platform for you to just log in and you answer the question. So you are basically competing with everybody online and here. And our GDG organizer here would give you swag based on who is winning. And those swags are like the good type of swags. Like fancy stuff. I'm also a GDG organizer, but I'm been here like 2-3 months. I made them to make me a GDG organizer. So I don't have that much of swag, but they have treasures. Okay. So is it good? I think I gave like 1 minute of thinking. So why the 1 and 2, A and B are not right? Take it as an experiment. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Do you want to say something?
sorry, yeah, so maybe these are sensors, right? So they might have fault, so they can go to some max value or min value. Like they can generate some max value. So it's not like reliable. Max and min values are not reliable. So we can see what is happening over the time, and then I mean, if there are drop in something or I mean increase in something over the time. So like that.
Right. And you were saying no? Okay. What was your name again?
Love. Love.
That's a really nice name. What Love was saying was perfect. The main idea is when you are using max and min, you are masking every other value. So you are diminishing, you are closing your eyes to every other information that the rest of these values are carrying. So it's the rolling average is basically getting a window and taking it across the information and just getting basically a snapshot. And from that snapshot, extract just one value, but that one value gets the gist of everything that happened in that snapshot. So rolling average is always a better choice, in my opinion, in these sort of questions. So from the two rolling average feature engineering that we have, the only difference is one of them is auto class weight set to false or set to true. Do you have any preference toward one of them? Yes.
Like it should be set to true because we want to like penalize like if it misclassifies any prediction.
Right. Any other suggestion?
Yeah, I mean we can keep it to 2 because I mean this is the parameter optimization. So I mean we don't know by ourselves that what parameters would suit to a problem. But I think if we set the class weights to so we optimize for that. That is what it
Also, there are multiple sensors, so we can't predict which sensor would go off at that time. I guess. So auto class weights, we said it when it will train such a way that based on data it will predict the best thing at that moment.
Right. So this auto class weight is a feature from BQML. And the idea is that it makes sure that all of your classes are represented in a data equally. I want you to think about a situation that you have two groups. One of the groups is 90% of the data and the other groups is only 10% of the data. If you do not balance this data set, your model just cares about that 90% group because it knows even if it totally messes up about that 10%, it's just getting 10% loss. So if the 10% loss is acceptable for you, the model doesn't want to deal with it. It's easier. You are dealing with a local minimum. So if you are if you do not penalize the system to care about, if you do not, for not caring about the minority, the model inherently ignores the minority. So you when you are not sure about the system being balanced, you want the platform, like in this case BQML, to make them virtually basically the same weight and balance. So the right answer is D. Yes.
There's one cool thing I wanted to show off here as well. You might notice the structure of the problem here, right? When you're taking the exam and you're like, 3 of these have auto class weights and 1 doesn't, right? You see there's like 2 set sticks, right? There's daily min max up top, and then we got rolling average, right? So when you're taking the exam, thinking, okay, well, either I think daily min max is important or rolling average, right? So if you can make that decision in your head, you've just eliminated half, right? And then we get down to the bottom 2, and we can see that they're basically the same answer with one thing different. But just you can kind of like go through that kind of like binary tree of just eliminating things when you're taking the exam. It's just an easier way for you to like not get lost in the fact that you have to read a whole paragraph of text.
Exactly. Learning the exam tricks. These guys, they just did, I think, the cloud engineer certificate, so they are so fresh with all of the exam idea. And I didn't point out, both of them are GDEs for cloud, right?
Yes, Google Developer Experts for cloud.
Yeah. Shout out to them. Okay, question 2. You work for a large financial institution that is planning to use Dialogflow to create a chatbot for the company's mobile app. You have reviewed all chat logs and tagged each conversation for the intent based on each customer's stated intention for contacting customer service. About 70% of customer inquiries are simple requests that are solved within 10 intents. The remaining 30% of inquiries require much longer and more complicated requests. Which intent should we automate first? Automate a blend of the shortest and longest intent to be a representative of all intents. Automate the more complicated requests first because those require more of the agent times. Automate the 10 intent that cover 70% of the requests so that live agent can handle the more complicated requests. Automate intents in places where common words such as payment only appear once to avoid confusion. So from an industry perspective, you always, I think everybody saw that the answer is C. So let's go, now that you don't know which one is the answer, let's go from the top. Automate a blend of the shortest and longest intent to be representative of all intents. We have 10 known intents, and we have 30% of the data that we have no clue how they look like. So maybe there are 30%, but in reality, it takes a lot of time to go through that data and make sure that we are basically covering everything. Automate the more complicated requests first because those require more of the agent time. You are handling 30% of the data only. So if you just go for that 30% of the data, first of all, you are handling a lot of data processing, which takes heck amount of time. And second, you are just solved 30% of the problem. You are still not making good money. And it's in the industry. It's always about money. So don't get me started on that. Automate the 10 intent that covers 70% of the requests so that live agent can handle the more complicated requests. That is the answer. Why? Because the intents are right there. You do not need any sort of data preparation. Like, they are there already, and you do not, at the time, they were not ChatGPT to give you the meaning. And it solves 70% of the problem. You can give that 30% to some people. You can like outsource it. You can do so many more things with that 30%. Or you can give it to the research scientists and they solve it for you for the, like they have so much more time. The last one, automate intent in places where common words such as payment only appear, only to avoid confusing the software. It honestly doesn't make sense. Like, what about the rest of them? Only payment makes sense. So I think that's like the filling the gap kind of questions there. So answer is 3. Yay, we did it. Next step. Follow the learning plan with us. So we are going to do that and join us here. We will be having this nice group of people to learn with and ask questions. So there are so many knowledgeable people here. We can learn from each other. And the commitment of, okay, I have to go to the class and learn with these people, I think for me, it's so much to make me keep going. So having that said, please follow on the first week and basically everything that has been discussed. We will have a Kahoot based on this week, and we can next start working. Next week would be on launching into the machine learning and TensorFlow on the cloud.
Are we gonna jump into the lab?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm going to jump. I prepared one of. I'm going to doing the second one. I thought the first one is so easy, so I'm going with data prep. Quick start.
So I think if we maybe share the link.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, Luke's just got it. Okay. So this is Cloud Skills Boost. You're gonna need to sign in.
So we can go home and try this out on ourselves.
You should. What we'll show you in a second. If you log in to this, you can just use your Google Auth, or Roy can use her username.
Actually, I should mention, when you log into Cloud Skills Boost, you want to make sure you use the same email address as you used to register for this event. That's how you're going to automatically be added to the big pool of credits that Google has.
Thank you.
Google has like one big pool with 500,000 credits or something. And then when you sign up for this event, you get an email that says you've been added to this credit sharing group. And that will make it so that when you log into Cloud Skills Boost with that same email, if you go up to the top right where Joe's face is on your own account, then you should see that you have access to this pool of credits, and that you'll have access to through the whole series.
We can see, for example, you have
10,000 credits. It's no longer 500,000; it's 10,000, but it's still a good amount, and it'll be more than you can probably use within the time frame.
And you can see this is a 1 credit lab, right?
Yeah.
I think roughly we need like 200 credits to do the whole 6 weeks.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
So let us know if you don't see those credits. Everybody should be able to do this. If you don't, make sure you signed up on the site, on the Google Cloud Boston event site, and they'll make sure that you get on this list within about a day or so.
Which path is it again?
Well, I think Lucas shared the link.
Yeah, we have the quest in the Slack. I'll also share it in the chat here.
So I'm going for the data prep quick start. Obviously, when you start a lab, and I think out of experiment, don't start it when you don't have like 1 hour of sitting for it, because not for these ones, but for the machine learning ones, because they require to learn and to train, they really need like that 2 hours. So it's something that like you need to be attentive to. So I start a lab. It gives you a username and a password. So you can start basically as a virtual person. You need to work on it in incognito, because otherwise it's really charging you on your real account. So to make sure that it just charges this virtual student who has access to this credit, go to the incognito window. And yeah, and I don't know how. Where did it go?
Right, could I add some?
Yes, please.
If you do run out of time, I think you can repeat the lab, right? But everything that you did, and every time you start a new lab, whether you did it before or not, you're logging in with a new student ID and a new password. Everything's completely brand new. So whatever training you did before is thrown away. So and some of these labs, the training takes a good chunk of time. The machine learning training, right?
Exactly.
So if you run out of time, unfortunately, all that training, whatever training got done will be lost, thrown away. So, but presumably if you do it the second time, you'll be able to go right to that step more quickly and get the training going right away. And then you probably won't run out of time the second time. But it has happened to me, not even on the labs that are not machine learning, I've run out of time sometimes. Usually you have enough time, but occasionally, like if you get a phone call or something, get distracted, you're gonna run out of time. You can repeat the lab.
One thing I'll say is, like, in my experience, the lab, like, if you were to diligently do the lab from the start to finish, you would finish it with a lot of time left over.
Usually,
Yes.
yeah.
If you don't get a phone call or go make dinner or whatever. And like the benefit is during this period, you're not using credits that you paid for with cash money. So it's not the end of the world if you started one of those labs and didn't finish it and then you had to start it again later. After we're all done here and you've lost access to the credits, when you start paying for your own Quick Labs account or Quick Labs credits, then you might want to be pretty diligent about not wasting them. But for now, don't stress too much about it.
It's still like single-digit dollars. I mean,
Yeah, it's not a
gonna
huge
be
amount.
like $500 wasted or something. It could be like $2-3 in that range.
Oh, we have a comment online which I want to highlight is that it's very helpful to just like read through the lab and know what all the steps are that they're going to have you do before you click start.
Yeah.
Because even though you have a lot of time, you might think, oh, I just have to create 2 service accounts and then a VM and I'm done. And you didn't realize that there's like 10 other things. So just like it'll give you a good idea of what you're about to get into.
All of the points are so true, and I cannot add anything to it. So, thank you.
The other trick, this is kind of a hack, but if you sign up for a Google Cloud account, you can get like a $300 credit if you sign up with a new account, like a Gmail account. And you can, I think in many cases, not always, but in many cases, you can actually take the instructions from a lab, from Skills Boost, and you can run them in your Google Cloud account, which is going to burn up your $300 worth of credits to a little bit, but at least now sometimes there are quotas and things that won't let you do everything that you can do in the lab, so that there is a benefit of doing it within Skills Boost environment or Quick Lab environment, but there are some tricks you can try.
Definitely. Okay, so with everything said, let's get back to the lab. And I think we just lost 15 minutes here. So I got the username that Google generated for me as a virtual student. And I also copied the password in an incognito window and just like log in. You have to comply with the Google requests, and then it asks you if you are resided in the United States. Agree. That's a benefit. As someone who doesn't have access to this in their own country, this is like so touching to be able to have these facilities, and like they are accessible for me here. So thank you. Okay, sorry, I got emotional for a second.
Understandable.
Thank you. Okay, so let's follow the lab. It's easier when you are at home and you have like 2 screens, so you see everything at the same time. I'm jumping toward where it starts. I promise I did it twice at home to make sure that I'm not messing it up here, and it's okay. The beginning is here. The idea is you want to go to the bucket, you generate a bucket for yourself, and then you are going to have data, and instead of using the traditional like data processing steps, it uses data prep, which is just like plug and place to make your data clear, remove all of the nonsense of it and merge them and like do all of this fancy thing without you writing basically a single line of code. So that's the essential idea of it. So go to the navigation bar and go to the cloud storage and go to the bucket. So let's just do that. And this is the one. So navigation bar, cloud storage. Here. I'm already in the buckets, right? Okay, next step. Is there any way that I make it a split screen here for myself?
Sure, one second.
Thank you. I know how to do it with Mac and with Windows. I don't know how to do it. So, and then go here and create a bucket. Sorry. Okay, create is here, but if you have a full screen, it's like obviously on top of it, right in the front of you. And then choose a name. So I did example bucket, and then today is 04052023. It follows enter the name. We just did enter the name, and then we are creating it, and the step that it asks, it's taken because I took it this morning.
There's one thing it wanted, yeah.
And then you need to uncheck. So step 4, uncheck enforce public access prevention on this bucket for choose how to control access to the object. So uncheck that, confirm. Okay. Now this is there. I check my progress. I need 100 basically % of progress here. So every time I'm checking to make sure that up to that point, I'm done everything right. So that bucket part is done. The second thing that it asks me is go to the navigation menu. So this thing is top here, and then go for the data prep. Yes. Agree, accept, and then check this, agree and continue. Basically allow this application to access your project data. Good. It goes, and then it starts to basically access my student account. Yes, I'm this student. Let me to be accessible, and I basically access to my information as a Google account here. And accept to terms and conditions. And finally, yep, continue to the first time setups. So we are here, we have the data prep actually initialized for us. So hey, let's check our progress. Yay, we are 50% done. Next, create basically a data flow. So the flow thing is this icon in the left hand side. Click on that and then click on create. Create on the allow downward to the blank flow. The first thing you need to do is to click on untitled flow, then name and describe the flow. Since this lab uses basically 2016 data from the United States federal election, name the flow FEC 2016. So let's do that, FEC 2016. And this is the United States federal election 2016. Yep. And click OK. So data steps is also done. Now the fun part. Import data sets. And add data set, there is this button on the top which says add data set. And when you are clicking on it, the import data set is like really lower in here. So I didn't see it at the beginning. That's why I'm pointing it out. When you are there, click on the Google storage, cloud storage, to import data from the cloud storage. So right now we have a cloud storage and we want to connect it with data prep. And just go to this GS, SPLS, GSP 105 to basically access the information that has been stored for you previously on the cloud storage. Click on the edit path to access this path here. Yes. And now we are accessing the US FEC information that we were looking into. Click on UFC, US FEC, and then we want to choose two of these data sets that, like, they are a bunch, they are in text format.
Sorry,
Yes.
I didn't want to interrupt before, but I'm seeing maybe other people have the same problem I did with
Yes.
opening data prep. I think because you've already used it, it's right in your sidebar. I had to search under like you find more apps.
If you go to the search box at the top of the Google project, you can probably type it in there. But you're correct. If you're using the navigation, you do have to expand the sidebar and do a bit of scrolling.
I actually did in the search.
No,
Yeah, oh, for sure. I don't need
then
it.
I searched for data prep.
Have everybody have it?
Data prep.
Have everybody have it?
And then
Or has everybody have it? Anybody with issue? Not in the data prep? Good. Happy? You're good? This is a friendly community. Ask questions. I don't bite.
You know, we're gonna be here for 6 weeks, many of us, so everyone should get comfortable with each other. You know.
Yes, credit.
I think there is a seat over there for one of you. There is a seat with a lot of jacket over there. I'm so sorry.
Email that they sent.
I'm sending an email to the support right now. If any of you signed up for this event more than 2 days ago and you did not receive the Cloud Skills Boost credit, please let me know, ideally in Slack, and I'm going to add you all to a support email.
We are all good? Okay, everybody in the data prep. Perfect.
What I was gonna say is there is the Slack channel, and that's why we say, join the Slack channel. If you have questions, Lucas and I and other organizers will make sure they get resolved for you. If you don't have credits, you can ask a question there, and we'll make sure that gets taken care of. But for everybody else, we'll just keep going to where it is.
Okay, so if I have everybody back in here, now I'm connecting this data prep tool, which is in my opinion, one of the APIs that Google is providing to make everything drag and place instead of coding. It got access to the Google Cloud, basically a storage, and it already has so many data sheets in the storage. So we want to choose those that are basically important for our task. It's been set here to use CN-2016. So from the top, I'm looking for CN-2016 and click on plus. That's done. And also the ITCONT 2016 original, which I think is this one, not this one. Yep, this one. I add both of them here. It suggests that rename them to basically have them make sense. So the first one is candidate master. This one. And the second one is campaign contribution. Yeah. After everything is done, go down here and click on import and add to the flow. And ta-da, we are there. I'm mentally like 3 years old, so get used to this. I get so excited so easily. I cannot hold on to a professional view. And all of this is recorded and they go to YouTube, so I'm ruined for the rest of my life. Okay, by default, the candidate master 2016 dataset is selected, which is this top one for us. In the right pan, click edit recipe. I tried it at home too, so it doesn't see it at the beginning, so I closed it and then I clicked on it and it was better, and now it doesn't do it. Okay, what you want is this detail. So for me, I tried at home and here it didn't initially open, so I closed it and opened it again. Hopefully it would work better for you. So in the right pane, click edit recipe. So we need to go to the recipe, edit recipe here. This transformation page is where you build your transformation recipe and see the result applied to the sample. When you are satisfied with what you see, execute the job against your data set. So essentially, instead of like doing everything and checking and doing and checking, you are just doing it. It gives you a gist of what will be happening, and then you are good to go to apply it or not. Each of the column heads have a name and value that specify the data type. To see the data type, click on the column icon. So in the side of each column, you basically can hover on top of it and it tells you what type it is, and you can click on it if you wanted to update it or make any changes. Then it asks you to, Notice also that when you click the name of a column, a detail panel opens in the right. So when we are clicking on top of it, we see the detail, which is basically what is the percentage of each of the value, what is the pattern, all of the information that you really need to go and navigate into the data. It's already there, accessible to you. If you are working with pandas, this is like magic in my opinion, because you need to like write code to have this information. It's so cool. And so it's just for showcase, click X in the top right of the detail panel to close the detail panel. Done. In the following step, you are exploring the data in the grid view and apply transformation step to the recipe. Column 5 provides data from 1990 to 2064. Widen column 5. So it's just like if you are using a basically a scale Excel sheet, and you are just widening to separate each year. So here, each of them is belonging to 1 year. If you see right under it, it's like 2020, 61, 1.14, and so on and so forth, and you can continue. Click to select the tallest pin, which represents the year 2016. So go there, and then we have it right here into the suggestion panel. To create a step, okay. In the suggestion panel on the right, in the keep row selection, click add to add this step to your recipe. What that keep row says, it's where the data is from 2016 and less than 2017. So in that 1 year gap, then keep it. This is essentially a SQL line of code that is just writes it for you just by clicking one single column. So it asks you to add it. Add, boom, we have it. Selection, click add to address. Yes. The recipe panel on the right now has the following steps. Yes, we can see that. In column 6, states, so we need column 6 here. In column 6, states, hover over and click on the mismatch red part. So click on the mismatch. Yes. Portion of the header to select the mismatch rows. Okay. Scroll down to the bottom highlighted in red, find the mismatch value, and notice how most of them. Okay, let me to go down so for you to see. Yes, we got to the red part. So you see that everything, instead of having an state, it has a US value, and the column 7 for them is basically P. To correct this mismatch, click X in top of the suggestion panel to cancel the transformation. Okay, done. On the flag icon in column 6 and change it to the string column. So flag, change it to a string. That's also done. It's no longer a mismatch, and the column marker is now green. Filter on just the present candidates, which are those records that have the value P in column 7. In the histogram for column 7, hover over the 2 bins to see which is H and which is P. Click the P bin. So basically, we are going to go to the column 7, and now we want to just hold on to the data which has, which are the presidents. And it generates the code for us to do that. So the suggestion is where column 7 is P, just keep them. So we added to the list of the steps that we wanted to do. Wrangle the contribution file and join it to the candidate file. On the join page, you can add your current dataset to another dataset or recipe based on the information that is common to both datasets. So what it is doing is that you have these 2 datasets. They have to have one column or multiple columns similar to each other. You want to merge them, but you want them to merge on that joint of that column that are the same. So for every row, one of the value for that one column is the same, and everything else would place in order. That was the hinge that I was trying to say. Before you join the contribution file to the candidate file, which is the 2 dataset that we want, clean up the contribution file. Click on the FEC 2016, the dataset selector, and the top grade. So that tiny little thing on the top is where we are. So far, everybody's good. Are you following? Any problem? Any question? All good? Okay, perfect. Let me know if you want me to stop or like work on something. Yes. No, nothing. Good. Happy. Okay. Click on the FEC 2016 on top part and that tiny thing, so we are there. Click to select the grade campaign contribution 2016. So here we clicked on it, and okay, where do we want to go? In the right pan, how do you write it? Is it pan or pane?
Pane.
Okay, in the right pane, click add and recipe. So add recipe. If I'm making like this sort of mistakes, let me know. It's better to, although it's there forever, but at least I learn. And click edit recipe. So here, yep. Okay, it's loading the data, so give it some time. And pray with me that it doesn't mess up. Yes. Okay, we are there. So, click the recipe icon at the top right of the pane, then click add next step. So, yay, we have add next step here. Remove extra delimiter in the dataset. So basically insert the following. It already gave us the code, and that's like a SQL code if you are familiar with it. And it generates it for us. Click add, boom. The data is partially clean. Add another new step to the recipe, click new step, and then click join in the search box. So this is essentially what we wanted to do from the beginning. We cleaned some of the data. Now we want to join it to what we had before. And click on join dataset. Okay. Click on candidate master 2016 to join the campaign with the candidate. Click accept. Yes. Now instead of having the headache of like doing it by code, it's just happened. On the right side, hover on the join key section, then click on the pencil. Join key. So we see the pencil. Yes. This is which part? This is the part that tells us, okay, which column in the first data set with which column in the second data set supposed to have the same information to fork for us as that hinge. Because we want a part for both of them to be shared, so we know which row from the first data set with which row from the second data set belong to the same data point. So in the key panel, in this in the add key panel, in the suggested join key section, click column 2 to column 11. So it tells us that the column 2 and from the data set 1 is the same as column 11 from the data set 2. And save and continue. Okay. And then click next. So we have the data set. And then we want to have all of the basically columns for us. So we do not want to just like merge a part of them. So by clicking on the checkbox on the top, it takes all of the columns that are involved. Click on review and then add to the recipe. Summary of the data. Generate a useful summary by aggregating, averaging, counting the contribution in column 16 and grouping the candidate by IDs, names, and party affiliation in column 2, 24, and 8 respectively. At the top of the recipe panel, on the right, click on new step, enter the following formula in the transformation search box to preview the aggregated data. So instead of you to basically write the whole thing, it takes the 3 columns and sums them, average them, and based on the condition that you want to put in there. You add, so it's there. You obviously want to rename some of it, because right now when you see it, it doesn't make really good sense, just like column 8, what is column 8? So it helps you to rename them. So another new step, put the information and it renames it for you. And then the last part of it is for you to basically make all of these new new columns. So and we got the result, almost looking like what we see here. And the reason that it's not exactly the same is because I'm having a shorter width. Yes. So it doesn't exactly look like what you see here. But congratulations, we did it. So this is one of the labs from the quest. I think there are 8 of them. And when you are done, you basically end the lab in the previous windows, which was.
So when you do that, everything on the right hand side is going to disappear, right?
Sorry.
When you end your lab here on the left, I think if Roy scrolls to the top.
Yes, and lab. Yes.
If you hit end there, then everything on the right can disappear in a minute or two.
Exactly.
So if you want to make use of the 27 extra free minutes, you can play around with it. When you hit end, all the Google Cloud stuff is going to disappear.
Yeah, you'll probably notice like a minute after you do it, if you don't touch those windows, that they'll get pop-ups saying like, oh, you're not logged in anymore. And then if you were to try to log in, it wouldn't work because the account has been deleted. The project has been deleted and the stuff that was in it. So your browser will just stop working.
And sometimes when you get past like Roy has stopped the lab, they might have a challenge or something. They might say, hey, if you did everything you needed to do, but if you want to do more stuff, you can take this further. So just noting, since the time you get is free when the clock's running, maybe you want to use all the time you got if you're interested.
Yes. So click on the end of the lab.
Question? Sorry.
Yes.
Like you showed this on an example, that if we want to add our data, also can we like do that?
That's a question for them. Can we add our own data to this?
Yeah, I mean, some of these Google projects that the Quick Labs use might have certain APIs like disabled in them potentially, so you don't use those things. But for the most part, it's a legit Google account with most features enabled. So you could probably create a bucket, upload your data into the bucket, run your analysis on that instead of the test data that they provided. That would most likely all work. I mean, there are probably some limitations like.
Well, it never occurred to me to try that.
That's what I meant when I said, hey, you got
I mean, you know, if you
extra time on the clock.
if there's some work that you can accomplish in an hour, you could use the cloud credits to do that.
Make your bucket like how it reacts.
We didn't tell you to do that.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, it's it's not a great scenario because you don't want to be like under the clock when you're trying to figure something out, and like, oh no, I'm gonna lose all of this, in 5 minutes. I need to get it done. So it's not a great environment to work.
Yeah, but then you also have the option to make a free account and you get if you create
$300.
a regular Google Cloud account.
Yep.
You get $300.
Yeah, that's
credits on that. Just
and that won't disappear in 1 hour.
Yeah. Well, actually, it won't disappear ever. It will ask you to turn it into a paid account when the $300 runs out.
Correct.
But it won't convert it automatically to paid. Don't worry about that. You do have to give a credit card just to validate yourself, but it will never charge you without your explicitly knowing about it.
Good question.
Yes. Any other questions? So we submitted, and after you are submitting it here, in the original page of the quests.
You hit the back button at the top.
Yes. In the original page, there will be a tick by that one. So you are like, I did it.
I'd like to thank Roya for getting me closer to the end.
And I can.
That's amazing. You didn't even have to do anything, and you just earned a badge.
Awesome.
So if you can all get
Yes.
Roy to take it on your browser for you, then you can do this really quickly.
And I just wanted to also point out that there are a few that there is an or between them. So don't freak out. You do not need to do both of them. One of them is basically the template, or the other one is the Python. When you are going along the whole path, you would also see like there are options for people who are more familiar with like Node or Python or Java or different things. You do not need to accomplish all of them. You need to do one of them when there is a or. When you have all of them, then you are done with this stage, and let's go for the next one. With that,
if you could just scroll down, I just want to point out one thing here. There was one lab with an exclamation point. Sometimes labs are broken and you can't take them. If you see that, don't worry about it.
And like we will try and contact Quick Labs to say like, is this lab going to be fixed by the time our group is on week 3 or whatever? And so we'll see if we can get that resolved. But it may be that some of the labs are just not working, and that will happen because like Google changes the technology a little bit. They change the features, so you have to update the lab, and the old lab doesn't work because the feature changed, and the new lab isn't ready yet. So there might be a small period of time where it's not available. But there's a lot of people using these, so I know that when one of the labs is down, it's not like it's down and no one notices. It's down and they get a lot of complaints about it.
Could you review again how like there's a quest that has how many labs? 8?
this one quest has 8 labs. I counted last
How
night.
does that get spread across the 6 weeks?
No. This is just for week 1.
For week 1,
For week
there
1,
are
for
8
this
labs.
one
If
quest,
you want to do everything for week 1, you have to do 8 labs.
That is correct.
Got
there
it
are
is.
8 labs in
So-
this one, and there are multiple labs in the courses. So,
We're not going to do them all tonight.
Correct. Okay, so what we will do is each week we'll get together as a group like we did here, and we'll support everyone and help you through the questions. We'll go through at least one of the labs like we did today. But as we're pointing out, that one lab is not the work for this week. There's a lot of other work you could be doing at home in the spare time. You could go through the rest of those labs and the other quizzes and things in there, and then you'll be fully prepared for the next session. I will just set the expectation, like not everyone is going to have the time to do all 8 of those labs before the next session. You should still come next week if you don't complete them all. We're not going to like shun you or anything. But if you want to stay on pace with the hopes that maybe a few weeks or a month after the end of our series here, maybe you could go actually get certified. The best way to do that is to stay on pace as best you can, so that, you know, the questions you're asking are the same ones other people are encountering this week and not the things we did like 3 weeks ago or whatever. But it's a self-paced thing. Some people are going to drop out after this session. Some people are going to go through the whole thing and not even try to take the exam because they just wanted to learn. They don't care about the certification, which is totally fine. And I think we mentioned this in some of our posts, but for those of you that do get through all of the labs, like we're going to make our best effort to try and get your certification paid for. We can't guarantee it, but and especially if all of you did it, we absolutely can't guarantee it. But assuming a couple of you, some of you may get through all the way to the end and earn all the badges, like Roy just did for Joe, then yeah, we're gonna try and get you the cert paid for. And the exam costs $200, so you know that sort of relieves some of the stress of getting the exam. And you know what? If you're taking the exam on a free voucher that you got, then it doesn't hurt as bad if you don't pass this time. You can try again next time. When it's coming out of your own pocket, that can be a little bit like, better if your company's paying for it usually. But yeah, for those of you that are going to be paying out of pocket, try to earn that voucher at the end, and we'll fight for you to get it.
So the exams are like a one-shot?
Yeah, it's like 2 hours. It's like 50, 60 multiple choice type questions. And at the end it says, it's computer graded, right? So at the end it's like fail pass. You click
Yeah, it is a fail pass thing. There's like a delay of potentially more than a week between when the computer tells you you did pass and when you get the official email from Google that they like stamped it and it's like they don't think you cheated or anything. So there's a little delay there and you can be a little anxious. Like, am I gonna get an email that says that they rejected my pass or what?
We've never heard it.
I've never heard that ever
No, I
happen.
never heard that happen.
No.
But you don't get any feedback other than pass fail. Like they don't tell you like
Right.
what questions you missed
No
or
percentage.
what area.
Yeah, there's no like I have taken other certifications. Like I have some Slack certifications, and they tell you got like 61 out of 80 correct, and that means you passed by one. You know,
Google
which is
doesn't
what
do
I
that. I
did.
think Google is constantly adapting to like
They're trying to make the goal of the exams is you do want people to get certified because you want there to be people in the market who can use your tech. That's good, but you also want the certification to be treated by the rest of the industry as something that actually matters, that's like serious. And so if you just hand out the certs to everyone, then the marketplace isn't going to value the cert highly. If it's like a legit thing that you have to work to get, then the market starts to treat it like that. And you'll see like the Google professional certs are some of the highest paying certs out there.
O'Reilly's salary survey, the tech book company, O'Reilly, did their survey from last year, and it was the highest paid certification was the Google Cloud Architect. It was the highest paid certification of anyone that had a certification in tech. So they try to make sure that these things mean something, which is why the exams are challenging.
So to finish the answer though, you're not like banned from ever taking it again, but I think there is like a 30-day or 2-week or
There's a little there. If you fail, there's a delay period.
2 weeks or saying.
It's only a few weeks. I
Yeah.
think. But
So
if
then
you fail twice,
you'd pay again.
If you fail twice, there's a longer delay period.
Okay.
Okay. So,
It's exponential back off on,
right.
your,
So you don't want to fail twice.
on your
So,
certification.
And I
Yeah.
offer a quick tip about taking the test. So there's usually a sample test, and what I did was, for a professional cloud developer, I took the test. The first time I got like 20 right out of 40. Right? It was terrible, and I kept taking it, and then going back to the quick labs, looking at the transcripts until I got to 100%. And I knew everything on the sample test, and then I was okay. Now I feel good about the real test. So the sample test, I think, is a good place to get. Make sure that
Did you go to an exam center? Or
No, I did it in a guest room of the house because my office is so cluttered with junk.
Okay, so I've always done the exam center exams where there's a proctor, but tell us how the
So they give
online
you a
proctor
special
works.
browser that you load on your machine. They have a proctor.
You have to be like if you're using your work computer that might not interact well with this special browser because like it doesn't like virus protection
So
or
I had a card
anything.
table. I had to show them under the card table, over the
Card table from like the
Walk
50s. They're like,
around-
what's that tape
Walk
under
around the whole
that?
room, the whole thing.
So it's like a clean room environment.
Yes.
As
Yes.
uncluttered as possible, and then that was all good, no problem. But like I said, I think to have confidence taking the real test, take the practice test a bunch of times, and make where am I weak? And for me, it was Kubernetes. And I've never used that at work. I've used Firestore a million times. So find those places where I'm not getting this, and then keep drilling it, and then you're going to pass because the questions on the real test I think were easier.
Oh, really?
Than the sample.
Just make sure you take the correct exam. That's one thing. If you study for one exam and then you sign up for a different one, that Joe might have a little anecdote.
Oh, that's where this is coming from.
Nothing I studied for is on the exam. And then I get the email and like, oh, I passed the wrong exam.
We did a program like this for 6 weeks where we studied for the cloud developer certification, and then Joe took the DevOps certification, and he passed it.
Now, all right, well, I signed up for the other one then.
Yeah, so I don't recommend that, but like it meant that he didn't have to ever study or even start studying for the DevOps exam. He just passed it, and he did all the grueling work for the
I was
developer.
sweating bullets. I was sweating bullets.
You had a question that I didn't get to. Oh yeah, no, you can take the exam early, but like we're not going to be able to get a free voucher for anybody unless like they've completed all the badges. And then I'll do one last pitch. I don't think it was mentioned already, but the Cloud Skills Boost that you're all seeing here, that some of you have 0 credits and we're going to get that fixed soon. Some of you have access to the pool. There is a subscription for that service, and it's a valuable subscription. It might sound like a lot when you hear about that it's $300 a year. It sounds like a lot of money, and I can appreciate that it is a lot of money. But what it comes with is unlimited access to the Quick Labs for a year. So if you do a lot of them, you could churn up way more than $300 worth of value there. It also comes with $500 worth of GCP credits. So you can go do those awesome projects you were thinking of doing that were going to cost money, and it'll be free. Then you get a free voucher for the certification. So like the $300 you're paying, $200 of that is like the certification voucher right off the bat. And then on top of that, if you successfully pass that certification that you got by using all the free credits and the voucher, then you get another $500 of credits and a second voucher. So, within 1 year, you could churn through $1,000 of Google credits and earn 2 certifications and do an unlimited number of those Quick Labs. We have a couple of friends who are GDEs that have recently completed getting all of the Google Cloud Professional certifications, like all 13 of them. And so you could set a goal for yourself to do that in 1 year if you had this amazing subscription. So highly recommend it. No reason to get it until after we're done here, because you should use the free credits that you have. But it is something that would be valuable for many folks later on.
Could I ask? There are also some videos that go along with these courses, right? So it's not just the labs, but where's the best place to view the videos?
Well, we did have them all on the slide deck, right? There's some relevant videos as well as the labs, and in that the quest. Not every step in the quest is a lab. Some of the steps are just like a series of videos and learnings, maybe like a brief little quiz just to see if you got the points, and then the lab. And so usually often there's like several sections worth of videos. Those are all giving you the stuff you're going to need to do that lab near the end. So yeah, there's a lot of content in the middle.
For anybody that has Pluralsight at your work company, or if you've ever been on Coursera, I took almost all my Google training I did on Coursera, and recently I switched over to Pluralsight. So I have a subscription to Pluralsight, which is I think $200 a year for everything, including all of the Google Cloud curriculum, all of the a lot of AWS curriculum, and then a lot of third-party stuff as well. So Pluralsight's a great deal. If your company has it, talk to your HR people, they may tell you about it. It's a really good deal. Coursera is also really good. But what I've done usually is, like, I know there's a machine learning on Coursera. It's called a specialization. You can look up Google Cloud specialization on Coursera, and it'll say, okay, professional cloud architect, professional data engineer, professional machine learning engineer, right? They'll have all the specializations. On Pluralsight, they're called paths, I think, a training path within Pluralsight. And I think what's happening with Skills Boost now is that a lot of so Pluralsight and Coursera used to be the 2 only places, the so-called on-demand training partners for Google. And I think more recently what they're doing, I think they're putting a lot of this into the Skills Boost. So Quick Labs used to be just labs only. But I think what's happening over time is that the courses that used to be on Pluralsight and Coursera are now actually the videos and things are moving into Skills Boost. And that's part of the renaming and rebranding from what used to be called Quick Labs. Now it's called Skills Boost. So you'll still see people talk about Quick Labs. We will probably occasionally use the word Quick Labs, but that's all actually rebranded now as Skills Boost. So I think.
The account you log in with still says Quick Labs. There's plenty of places where it still says Quick Labs.
So it's not completely cut over yet. And Quick Labs still exists as a separate thing. If you do AWS training, you can go still on Quick Labs and get AWS training if you follow that path. If you're doing Microsoft Azure, you're you're on your own. I don't know anything about Azure, so.
Awesome. So just to recap, things you guys should make sure you can try to do today. One, please sign up for next week. That makes sure you can get all in the event for folks that are not with us in the room. Everybody is in the room. Make sure that we're going to get you all those credits and whatnot. Two, please make sure you can get into Cloud Skills Boost. I think most people did that tonight. And if you didn't get those credits, three, make sure you're in our Slack channel, because then you can make a comment in there. And Lucas or myself or Roy or Norbert, we're going to make sure that you get set up right. So that's really our goal here. We'd love to have you here next week. If you sign up there, make sure we can talk to you in the Slack and collaborate in the meantime. And finally, make sure everybody can get in Cloud Skills Boost so they can start working on those labs. You don't have to do every lab this weekend. Do it if you want. But at least try to get in there, get 1 or 2 done, start getting the ball rolling there. And with that, is there anything else? Maybe hand of applause for Roya.
Thank you, Roya.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you all for